And now, all of a sudden, this is all happening.
What's his name?
Christian Tobetchuk.
Christian?
Please, I'm scared of him.
On the 3rd of April 2022, Miami authorities got a frightening telephone alert.
I can't feel my arm. I can't feel my arm. Oh, my boyfriend is dying of a stab. Ma'am, what is the address? 134 Northeast 7 times. Baby, I'm so sorry.
On April 3, 2022, 27-year-old Christian Tobia Bumsley was discovered losing blood in his girlfriend's lap from a vicious knife wound to the chest. When officers arrived at the location, they found puddles of blood scattered across the apartment, and Toby was barely clinging to life. OnlyFans influencer Courtney Clenny, who had first met Toby in 2020, was his companion. Although the two appeared to be madly in love in public, their relationship behind closed doors was marked by strain and instability. They had a reputation for intense disputes, and authorities had been summoned to their home on several occasions. Still, their most severe and heartbreaking conflict erupted in April 2022, leaving Toby gravely wounded and begging for his life. Courtney claimed to officials that she had no role in the matter, but detectives thought otherwise, which led to her being detained for questioning and enduring a 5-hour-long interview.
My apologies for being absolutely covered in blood.
Listen, you don't have to apologize, okay? I completely understand. Alright? Things happen, and you can't control it. Okay? How long have you guys been together?
About 2 years.
About 2
A
years?
year and a half to 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
Is he okay?
He's still at the hospital. They're still,
I know.
monitoring him and talking to him. So we're waiting.
Oh my God! So he didn't even have to have surgery.
Well, I don't know. They're still doing X-rays and stuff like that. So I don't know yet. I'm waiting to hear a response.
That's all I have to know. Thank God.
The investigators informed Courtney that Toby is at the hospital but still breathing. Detectives are often unsure how an accused individual will respond to certain details, so it's typically safest to begin by calming any concerns they might have and speaking in a non-confrontational tone. This approach helps the suspect feel at ease and increases the chances they'll open up.
We just got back together. I had broken up with him, and then he came back the last 2 nights, and then started to an argument, and I ended up getting scared, and I think that I overreacted, or not overreacted necessarily, but reacted, and I just didn't know exactly what might happen.
Do you guys work here in Miami, or do you guys have your own business?
I do social media, so I'm an influencer, I guess is what.
Oh yeah?
Close, yes, I'm an influencer.
What do you focus on, like Instagram or social media?
Instagram, LinkedIn.
And what is it that he does?
Stocks and crypto.
Stocks and crypto?
He just has stocks and lots of crypto. We were going to move into a house. So, have an apartment, and then we were like, maybe just move here for a year. And then once we got here, we were like, no, this is dope.
Yeah.
So, we have the dog picked out. It's golden retriever. We're gonna name Mellow. So we were gonna get a house so we could have a backyard. Because I have 2 dogs and then we're gonna have 3. So we're planning on staying here for a while. Sorry.
Once again, you don't have to apologize.
The detectives can see that Courtney is in a fragile condition, but at the end of the day, their job is to uncover the truth. Courtney is under investigation for stabbing Toby, and the only justification she's offered so far is that there was a dispute and things escalated. If Courtney truly committed what she's being accused of, being made to reflect on her history and future with Toby would seriously stir her emotions, making her even more exposed and potentially leading to a quick admission.
Let's start from the start. You guys were supposed to take out your dogs to the park, right? And then what happened after that?
Like I said, a little bit of blur. I was doing laundry and tried to call my mom. She didn't answer the first time. And then he left. I guess he went to go bike over there. That's just what he said. I don't know if he walked or biked, but he told me he was going to bike first.
Like a bicycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he came back with a Subway sandwich, and I said something about oh, are you gonna reshare your location with me? Did you unshare it? And he said, yeah, I unshared it. And I was like, oh, when did you do that? And he goes, the other day, when you were done with me. And I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Reshare it. And then he told, it kind of like turned into like a little like argument or something. And then he told me to reach your mind, and I was like, okay, yeah, I will. And then I didn't do it immediately. He asked me about it again, and I don't know what I was thinking, but it just said something about, well, what if I'm somewhere you don't want me to be? Which I wouldn't have been. I love him, but maybe you don't want to know where I am. I guess maybe it'll just like hurt him because he was pressing me, and he ended up pinning me against the wall. I said like choking me on the floor. It's just like, they were looking at my neck, and I was like, I'm not saying like choking me like, whatever. But he had my like neck, like and this happened twice before, where I couldn't breathe and I was on the floor. Yeah. I could not breathe, and I don't think that he is trying to kill me, but I was scared, and all 3 times I have been scared. I'm on the floor, and he had me pinned. Get my mom on the phone. So this happened like over by the door, and somehow moved like over in the living room. He was standing by the couch, facing toward the kitchen. I was in the kitchen, and then he just like, I could see like all the whites in his eyes, and he was like coming at me. And so I grabbed one of these knives. My mom got me for Christmas. I grabbed one of them, and I was like, I swear to God, it was just like I grab and be like, don't come anywhere closer to me, because earlier that was happening 2 other times. I couldn't breathe. I'm sorry, I couldn't breathe, and it's very scary. And I just think like, just like this kind of thing where I was saying like, do you know if he's okay? If he's choking me and he's angry enough, he might like, this is different, I think. But if he's like choking me or like pinning me or something and I can't breathe, he might go too long. So I grab a knife and I said, don't come anywhere closer to me. I had absolutely no intention of using it. I'm on the phone with my mom, and he's coming at me like he's going to grab either the phone or like the knife or something. And so I was just like, I was like, don't come any closer. It's coming at me, and I threw it. And I meant for it to go.
How far away was he?
Well, I was by my fridge, and he was like by the edge of one of the chairs of the sofa. Like
comparing to what
10 feet. I'm trying to think in my head.
To summarize, Courtney claims the dispute began after the couple mutually stopped sharing phone locations, which led to him holding her down on the floor and her responding by hurling a kitchen knife from across the room, striking him in the chest. Courtney also firmly states that her actions were in self-defense and specifically involved her tossing a knife approximately 10 feet across the apartment, which landed directly in his chest.
You were by the fridge and he was by the couch?
Yes, I was in front of the fridge. He was by the couch, and then behind my island. And then
what kind of movements did he make at the moment? He was going to walk
running
up?
At me.
Running? Okay.
Well, charging, aggressively walking, something.
What was he doing? Like, was he doing something with his hands, or?
He had his hands up. I couldn't tell you exactly.
Was he yelling at you at the time?
Yes.
Was that at the moment that he was charging you, or earlier in one of the arguments?
It was before he choked me. Yes, it was before he choked me.
Okay.
Or whatever. But I swear to God, I was scared. After like what I was scared, and I was on the phone with my mom, and it was still happening. Yeah. I was scared.
So you told me that he had you against the wall at one point, right? With his hands over your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you end up from the wall to the ground?
Let me go, and then I started swinging on him because I had been against the wall.
Okay.
I started trying to hit him.
Yeah.
And then he put me on the ground.
He dropped you to the ground.
When I'm trying to remember like a whole situation of where I was very upset about something,
yeah,
which I've learned this in therapy and whatever, it's like write down like all the details so you don't forget. Just like write it all out clearly, so it makes sense to you and makes sense to somebody else. But I haven't had a chance to have a pen and paper or my phone to like write down exactly what happened, and I haven't really even like fully thought about it. Yeah. So honestly, my answer is I don't remember.
That's fine. Okay. You guys have a history of Well,
Yeah,
you say you've been together how long? Sorry.
almost 2 years.
Almost 2
Year and a
years.
half to 2 years.
So how many incidents you think you've had?
I don't know, but we shouldn't be together.
Have you made a report before?
No.
You've never made a report?
Oh, I did in Dallas actually about a year ago, and he was detained.
And what happened there?
He had pushed me in the lobby, but it wasn't like a big deal, and they made it a huge deal.
The pair had also been entangled in another episode in Las Vegas less than a year before. Authorities were dispatched to their residence after a heated quarrel was reported, along with the sound of glass shattering on the floor and walls. The unit was wrecked when officers showed up, and Courtney's explanation was inconsistent and scattered.
Why did you call for help?
Because we were getting really loud. We were getting loud. And I was like, oh my God, we're gonna like do damage to the room or something. Not damage to each other. Like I really wanna like
But why would you
highlight
think
that.
why would you think that you were gonna do damage to the room?
I like throwing something or like,
Did you throw something?
did I?
Yeah.
No,
Did anybody throw anything?
no.
So why would you think that there is damage to the room to be made?
Because I've done that before in our house. And I
What have you done?
thrown a glass and a plate.
Did you throw a glass or a plate at him today?
No,
Okay. So if
no,
I
this was before.
okay, so when I go to the room and I see a broken glass on the floor, where did the glass come from?
I don't know. I literally couldn't even remember how the fight started.
Okay, well,
Was there?
yeah.
Maybe I did. Well, I'm guessing that I threw a glass, but that sounds like me, so.
Courtney was taken into custody and detained for 12 hours overnight, but Toby declined to press charges and strongly pushed for her release. This might seem minor, but authorities did determine that Courtney had assaulted him that evening by hurling a glass at his head. If nothing else, it demonstrates that Courtney was capable of striking Toby without provocation and introduces an entirely new path for this case. Additionally, it turns out law enforcement had interacted with the couple more recently. In fact, they had actually been summoned by building security to their unit just one day before the incident.
The cops have been up there one other time yesterday for absolutely no reason. Absolutely none. They harassed not the police, but security guards from office, like young security guards.
Okay.
Came up for no reason. Bothered him, bothered me.
The police were summoned nonetheless and recorded the whole interaction on body cameras, offering a sharp contrast to the version that Courtney shared here.
You didn't call.
I didn't. Nobody.
I called. You called.
What?
Okay.
What's on
Okay.
hand?
Hold on, man. Let him talk. Okay. Let him talk. Okay. Go ahead. The front desk personnel, she informed us that Miss Courtney, her boyfriend, was trying to get into the elevator. And she had her hand out like this. And she was like, oh no, don't come inside the elevator. Okay. So we asked her, I said, do you want him to leave the property? She said no, she don't want him to.
I did not say that. I said yes.
Hold on.
Courtney, what's going on? What do you need? What?
Yeah, good.
My boyfriend.
All right. So what do you want us to do?
I want a restraining order against Christian Wimselli.
We don't issue those.
Because
Those
no,
are
I'm
to
serious.
court.
Can I do that? Where
You have
can
to
I
go to court. You have to go to
Okay, but
downtown.
how can I make
petition.
myself first?
Courtney is clearly extremely distressed in this footage and appears more focused on securing a restraining order before Toby can file one, rather than being concerned about any possible injuries she might have sustained. It's also worth noting that the building's security observed her pushing Toby out of the elevator and yelling at him with no mention of any aggression coming from him. As the evidence continues to pile up, it's becoming more likely that Courtney's entire self-defense account may be drifting further from the truth. However, as is often the case in situations like this, everything remains speculative, and officially disproving her statements will be a challenge for the investigators. But after leaving her alone for nearly an hour and allowing her to change clothes, they return to the interrogation room with more information for her.
So you're living in a nightmare right now,
Yes.
you know?
I will feel so much better once they just say he's stable.
Yeah.
And I've been asking so
and
much.
that's what we're waiting for. And,
I mean, I feel like at the end, I mean, if he's not, that's a lot worse for me.
So they've asked for an update, and I asked them for an update as well, so they're checking to see what's going on. Because they're...
I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I will do with myself if he's not okay.
No matter what...
I mean, I clearly we can't be together.
No matter what happens, no matter where this falls, right, it's out of our control.
So, we have to inform you that Christian did not make it. Okay. Unfortunately, the doctors did what they could, and...
Christian is dead.
Yes.
Oh my God. This is not real, right? Okay. No, this is not real. Christian died? Can I please have a hug? Am I allowed to do that in here?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Relax. You're fine.
No.
Calm down. Calm down. Take deep breaths.
I need to hug my mom. I cannot be left alone in like a room by myself.
You won't be.
After this. No, that's not true. That's not real, right?
It is real.
Christian is dead.
Yes. They're not gonna lie.
The last thing he ate was Subway. What I was saying to that other room, I said, God forbid, when like from far away, what if it had accidentally hit a little bit lower and he died?
So we can't change what's occurred and get him before. So just step by step. So you'll get through this, all right?
T's clear from the detectives' reactions that they were quite convinced the incident was indeed self-defense. In fact, one of them even mentioned earlier how certain he was that she'd be allowed to go home that night and that everything would be fine. So, it clearly wasn't difficult for her attorney to convince them officially that she wasn't guilty, and she was released without any charges. However, keep in mind that the detectives weren't aware of the evidence discussed so far. All they knew was what Courtney had told them. As time passed, though evidence began to accumulate, and the case against Courtney was growing more and more solid. The body cam footage was released to the public, revealing the true nature of her prior arrests. There were also less flattering videos, like one showing her intoxicated in public just days after her release.
Yeah, and they're seeking justice. Anything, sir? Yeah, what? Let's all videotape her. Right now, you should go. Yeah, you should go. Because you just know her boyfriend. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and he's fighting. Yeah, okay, cool.
Sure, people make mistakes and drink excessively, but when you're caught behaving like this in public just days after sobbing in an interrogation room, you don't exactly come across in the best light. Only days later, footage secretly recorded by Toby was discovered on his phone, showing Courtney yelling at him aggressively, using harsh language, striking him across the face and hurling racial slurs.
You literally talked to her without telling me! Courtney, I was on a bike ride and she passed me and I said, hi, you and Courtney are having a live chat. My bad, I forgot to tell you that. That doesn't make you to act and call me a You're Yes, thank you. Coming from Courtney, thank you. I want you to get away from me!
Due to this and numerous other reports indicating that Courtney was indeed the aggressor, she was officially brought to court by Toby's family. This is where the final blow was struck by a medical examiner who had examined Toby's body and reached a conclusion.
Now, based on the information you received that the defendant was alleged to have thrown this knife, do your observations support that?
If the person who supposedly did this is an expert knife thrower, and the knife is the type of knife that you can throw, I guess that could have happened.
Did you receive any information that the defendant was a knife thrower?
No.
So based on that fact that you did not receive that information, would it support that?
No.
And what would you expect to see a knife do if someone just flung it at somebody?
It would just hit the body and bounce off.
Now, as a result of this case, did you come to a cause, or did you make a determination as to the cause and manner of death?
Yes.
Could you please explain those to the court?
The cause of death was stab wound of right subclavian artery. The manner of death was homicide.
As of April 2023, Courtney is currently waiting for what has become one of the most highly anticipated trials in recent history. She is facing life imprisonment on charges of second-degree murder, and with all the evidence piled up against her, things aren't looking favorable. We now await to see whether she will spend the rest of her life behind bars.